Jack here, owner of Hockey Alley, bringing you back hockey history. Stories forgotten, stories you haven't heard about, or stories that you remember. Today I got NHL player Jörgen Pettersson from the St. Louis Blues. How you doing, Jörgen?
I'm fine. How are you, Jack?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you for coming on and talking to me on my channel.
it's my pleasure. Sitting here in the cold Sweden, and it's nice to get a call from LA.
Thank you. We send you some warm weather. How's that?
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah. So you played with St. Louis. How many years did you play in the NHL?
I played 6 years in the National Hockey League, and 5 of those were in St. Louis. I played. I got traded to Hartford after my 5th year, and I played there up until November, and then I got traded late November, and I got traded to Washington the rest of the season, and then I went back to Sweden and played there for like 4 more years with the Frölunda team.
Frölunda is south of Stockholm, would you South Sweden?
It's South
Gothenburg.
Sweden,
Yes.
and yeah, the best coast they call it. It's like LA.
Nice. And you also played there before you got to the NHL.
Yes, I played there before. I played in the team when I was like 17 years old. When I went over, I was like 24. So I played there for 7 seasons before I came to St. Louis.
How did you get discovered to go to the NHL?
You tell me. I probably did something good there. I wasn't drafted. I didn't find out a couple of years back that I was drafted for Winnipeg Jets, 1977 or something like that. And I didn't know that I was drafted for that, but I was a free agent when I came to St. Louis, and there was a big sports writer in Gothenburg that knew Emil Francis since he was general manager in New York Rangers. And Emil was our general manager in St. Louis. So he recommended me. He said, you should come over and look at Jörgen. And they did, and they signed me after the season there. So it was great.
Nice.
I was so happy for that.
Yeah. Did your game change at all coming to the NHL from Sweden? Did you have to change your game at all?
No, I did it because my style of play, they tried to change it, but I couldn't play anything else that I played in Sweden. And I had no clue what's going on in National Hockey League because I never saw a game before I went over. We didn't, was no TV and internet and stuff like that back then.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen a game, and everybody was saying that with my style of play, I wasn't fighting. I just tried to score goals and play hockey.
Yeah.
So most of the people here, they probably thought that I was coming home after a couple of months. And when I came over there, they told me to go up and down your wing and give the centerman the pass. But I did the opposite. I didn't listen too much. I did what I was good at. That was skating and score goals and passing and things like that. So, I could go down behind the net and get the puck from the defenseman. They never saw that before, So, but after a couple of months, our coach, Red Berenson, he started doing that because I came out with the puck all the time because they'd never seen that before. When the defenseman wasn't that fun, great. Or when I came down there and took the puck from him, but it was good. I did what I thought was good, and you can do that if you score.
Yeah.
I scored like 37 goals in 63 games.
Yeah.
My first year, and when you score, they don't tell you to change your style, But if I hadn't been scoring like that, I probably would gone home after a couple of months. But it was a fairy tale. So I had so much fun. You can't believe it.
Yeah, I remember seeing you play. You were a hell of a player. You had a lot of skill. I remember watching you on TV, and
Thank you.
it's an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice to hear. It's
Thank.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
It's a long time now, though, but I couldn't believe, the rink was so little, and
Yeah.
you back then, now these days they talk that the players should have respect when they see a guy come with your head down and stuff like that. You see a lot of more concussions now, though. Back then, I think. Even now you see concussions. But back then, if you came with your head down, they tried to run over you and kill you. They had no respect at all.
But there was no fight after, right? Like today, when they get hit, they usually go and fight right after. Back then, that never happened.
There was a lot more fights back then in the beginning of the 80s than it is now. Now it's almost no fights in National Hockey League. I think. You had, like we had the first year there, we ended up second in the league because there was a different format for the National Hockey League. We played 4 times against all the teams. There were only like 21 teams back then. And we met everybody 4 times, 2 away, 2 home. So we had ended up like with 107 points. And that's one of the best teams. He got the most points in whole St. Louis history. And I think we scored like 4.35 goals every game.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's most also, So it was a great season. And we lost. We beat Pittsburgh in the first round. And then we played Rangers that we beat them 4 times in regular season, and we lost to them because they played tough against us, and we didn't have the guys that we could stand up for them, So the next year we got 3 really tough guys. So they tried to. So it's a different game, but I loved it.
Yeah, and you were on the line with Bernie Federico and Brian Sutter.
No, I wasn't. The thing is that my first year there, it was Bernie and Sutter and Joey Mullen. Joey Mullen came up. He was in the farm team most of the year, but when he came up, they 3 played, and I got my great centerman Blake Dunlop. We played together for 4 years.
Okay.
And Wayne Babbage. I think we ended up that first season to be 3rd line scoring in the whole league.
Oh, wow.
Wayne scored 54 goals. I scored 38, and I think Blake scored 29. And we only played together like from November and forward, So we had a great time.
Oh, it's a great. That's a great line. A good chemistry, to get together and be able to pass the puck around.
Yeah.
I remember watching you play. You had great stick handling abilities, and your skating was so good. How did you get good? What did you do?
The thing back then, when I grew up, you start at home when you were 5, 6 years old and playing. Where you lived, my brother was 7 years older than me. I've always played with him and his friends, and they were making ice, and we were like going on the ice like for when you came home from school until your mother at 10 o'clock at night told you to come in and go to bed, So you get a lot of ice, Now these days, you have like 3 practices when you're that age for 1.5 hours. We were on the ice like for 5, 6 hours a day.
Wow.
Playing. Awesome. And I didn't start in the team until I was like 12 years old.
Okay.
I was playing just for fun and up until then,
Yeah. Well, paid off. It's awesome.
It was good.
Yeah. How was it to play against Borje Salming from the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh,
Legend.
it's too sad that he went away. I went to the hockey gala in Stockholm here a month and a half ago, or something like that, and he was there, and he came up on the stage, and I saw him. He didn't look good at all, and I remembered first time I met Borje. He was a big idol for me, and we were playing in Toronto the first time I met him, and we were skating around in the warm-up, and he came up to me and wished me good luck.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and tapped me on my shin pads, and there was a big moment. And then I remember that, and then you just lost it, something like that. And then we played together in the Canada Cup 1981. And he was a great guy, everybody loved him, and he was fantastic. Too bad that happened with the ALS.
Yeah. What made him so good? I know he played defense, and he's a legend. But what made him better than other defensive? What did he have that other guys didn't have, skill wise?
I think he's got it all. He was great offensively, and he was fantastic defensively. He was blocking shots. You took the puck with his head and everything, and he could pass the puck. And I for my sake, I think he is the best. Even if Niklas Lidström, I admire him too. He was fantastic. I don't know how many trophies he's got for the best defenseman in the league, but I held Borje before him. Because he didn't get the best defenseman award because he played in a bad team. They didn't win anything.
No.
Detroit won a lot of Stanley Cups, but Borje didn't do that because he didn't play in the right team.
Yeah.
But as a complete defenseman, I held Borje as the best.
So you would say he's the best Swedish of all time? In your opinion?
That's what I'm saying. Defenseman.
Okay.
Yeah, I hold Peter Forsberg as the best forward all time.
Yeah. I agree. That guy was amazing, tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had it all. He's the only guy who could hit when he had the puck.
Yeah, that's right.
It was great.
Yeah,
he's got it all.
He's got it all for sure. What kind of sticks did you use back in the day?
Oh, that's when I came over, I had Coho 221.
Okay.
It was a great stick, I thought, and I also liked the Canadian stuff, the white stick. I thought that was a little lighter than the Coho, but then after I had Coho, I don't know for how long in St. Louis, but after a while I used Sherwood.
Okay.
Sherwood stick. It was good too. So, but it was different now. Now with the composite clubs, it's a totally different game.
Was it hard to find those sticks in Sweden, the Canadian and Sherwood, in those days when you were there?
No, because Coho is made in Finland, and I think I don't know if Canadian is also. I'm not sure, but it wasn't that. But back then you get a package with 12 sticks.
Yeah.
And you could use you felt the one you should use at the game. You didn't have to take it out on the ice. You felt the weight and stuff like that. So you probably could use 8 of them. Otherwise you had to for practice.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was your toughest opponent in the NHL? Like toughest meaning skill wise that you had to play against.
The best player by far was, Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
He was fantastic, but we it was pretty even games when we played Edmonton. Really, we had good games against them. They played hockey but I think Wayne was fantastic, unbelievable.
Yeah, hard to stop sometimes. He was very shifty.
Almost every time,
Yeah.
So I remember the first time we met them. We had Red Berenson were a coach, and he had a record for most scoring goals in National Hockey League. And he scored 6 goals. So after the first period, we were up 3-2, and Gretzky scored 2 goals. And I think they won 7-4, and he scored 5 goals that game.
Wow.
And I saw Red at the bench there. He didn't want him to score the 6th one there, but I don't know, did Wayne score 6 goals any time? You know that?
I think one time.
Okay.
But I know Red Berenson scored 6 goals against Philadelphia in the
Okay.
60s. That is a record. In one game, 6 goals doesn't happen. But no, I think 7 goals was in like 1920s. But yeah, Red Berenson, he was a good player and a great coach. I heard about him.
I really liked him. He was a great coach, I think, because he was, talking to us before the game. He was really good motivator. Very good. I liked him.
Did you have any other favorite coaches? What about like Jacques Demers?
Probably not my favorite coach. No, I can't say that. He was a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do so well when he was with us, and that probably explains something to it too.
Yeah.
That depends how the team does also. But he was okay. Not the best coach. The best coach. I have 2 good coaches. I remember. It's one in Sweden here, Conny Edensson.
Mm-hmm.
Is unbelievable, and Red Berenson. Those 2 are my favorites.
What's the biggest difference between, like, say, NHL coaches and elite Swedish elite coaches? What would be the difference? In the
how you practice. You play so many games in National Hockey League, 82 games, and you play like 14, 15 games a month. And you have no time to practice. You always try to get ready for the next game. Back then in Sweden, we played Thursday and Sundays. Mm-hmm. So we practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and we had Saturday off usually. And so you can have better practices, to get in shape to the games and stuff like that. But I'd rather, be playing games than practice too much. But I think that's a big difference.
Yeah. It's less games. I think it's better. NHL is way too many games. I would like to see it probably like 60 games and less teams. Probably less teams. It'd be better competition. There's just too many teams.
I know. But, it's all about money,
Yes.
So they're not going to make as much money then if they do that, So I don't think you're going to see a change for that.
Yeah. You also played with Willie Lidström in Sweden in Västra Frölunda. And,
I have a good story with him. He was in my first season was like 73 in Frölunda, and he was with the team then. Willie, he'd been playing a couple of years before that. I think he came to Frölunda 71 or 72, and so I was practicing with the team in the beginning of the season there, 73, and he and Mats Lind, you remember him? He played for Winnipeg Jets. Mats Lind.
Yes.
He played for Winnipeg Jets 1 year, I think. And he and Willie played together with another guy. And they went to the coach and asked the coach that if I could play with them instead of the other guy, the left winger there. So and he did that. So I played with Willie and Mats for that season. They were great. They were really good. So, and we I met Willie up until like 2, 3, 4 years ago when I played with the Swedish national alumni.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still playing. I think he's like what could it be? 72 years old now, something like that. I think he still plays.
And he was with the Oilers. He won, I think, 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Morris Lukovich was telling me when he got traded from the Jets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a hell of a player. And
he was. He was.
Yeah. So were you the first Swedish guy to play for St. Louis?
No, I wasn't. I like 2 years before I got there, Inge Hammerström was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he got traded from Toronto to St. Louis, and then he came back when the season 79, 80, and then I went over 80, 81 season.
Got it. So he was already out.
Yeah.
So you think the NHL should go to a bigger ice surface, like Sweden?
No, I think Sweden should go to smaller ice surface because I think it's more fun to play with the smaller ice surface, even for the crowd, because it happens more. You get more scoring chances. When you get over the blue line in National Hockey League, you have a scoring chance. In Sweden, you're so far away from the goal when you're out at the board. So it's more. They play more in the corners than they be in front of the net, and people want to see scoring chances.
Yeah, I remember playing in Nacka in Sweden. That was the only rink that was NHL size. I remember.
Okay.
All of Sweden, I think that was the only one, and I was used to it. Everybody else, teammates obviously is smaller, but it's.
Yeah. They have one up here close to Gothenburg, Lysekil. They have a small rink there.
Really?
Too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does the team have an advantage?
Probably, if they have a good team, they if you play with, it's different. It probably wasn't that small as it is in National Hockey League, but it was a lot smaller than in Sweden.
And do you any rules that you would change in the game or add?
And I haven't thought so much about that. No, not really. Hockey is a fantastic sport. I played a lot of soccer also, and soccer is fun to play, but hockey is my sport. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's
so fun to play.
Have everything.
Yeah.
Jörgen, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to have you.
It was a pleasure, Jack.
Thank you. It was awesome to watch you all these years play. It was really enjoyed to watch you play out there. It was fantastic.
Thank you very much. I went over to St. Louis for a month here in October, November, and I haven't been visiting for like 7, 8 years now. So I wish to say hello to everybody if somebody hear this in St. Louis, because I had a wonderful time, and I think when I were in St. Louis, it was the best time in hockey-wise for me. So thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.